Gradients are colors that vary from light to dark. And what we can do is create a gradient and apply it to our shape here. We can also edit that gradient once it's already put in the shape, just in case we don't like it. We can rotate it, we can scale it, and so on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this color here as my base. And I'm going to click the plus sign to create a new gradient. And I'll double click to where it says new, and I'll type gradient here. Now what I'm going to do is double click on the swatch, and when my color picker opens up, I have a button here to assign this as a gradient. So I'll go ahead and select this. Now let's talk about this gradient bar here. The gradient bar is where you're going to add some of these little gradient stops here. And what you could do with these guys is add more colors. You can add up to 8 of these. So what I can do is I can click on the bottom of the bar to add where I want to have gradient colors. And when I click on one of these little stops here, I can choose a color, and then click on another one, choose a color for this one, click on this guy here, and I can give them each a different color. I can also move them around, so I can adjust the squeeze of the gradient. Now, by the way, if you don't want one of these, you change your mind, just click and move your mouse up to get rid of it like that. Once again, you can only have 8 of these guys. You can also decide whether you want to have a linear fill. And let me go ahead and show you what that looks like. I'll go ahead and click and move my mouse. Or we can have a radial fill, which is a circular fill. Now, as you saw, the way I applied the gradient is I click and I move my mouse to determine where I want the gradient to start and where I want it to end. I can go in large strokes like this, or smaller ones. And this will dictate how the gradient is going to fill that object. It's kind of cool, huh? Now I'm going to go ahead and leave that the way it is. I'm going to go ahead and close my color picker here. And I'm going to click on my paint bucket tool. And you look down here, it says Edit Texture. With this selected, I can click on the texture. And let me go ahead and move this over. And I can scale the gradient or move it around. I can even, if I want to, rotate that gradient. Let me go ahead and move this over a little bit. I can grab the rotation handles and rotate the gradient. So it's really, really cool. So you have full control over your gradient at all times. Once you're finished with this, just go ahead and select your selection tool again. You can always come back at any time to click inside your shape and change the gradient. If you no longer want to have this gradient, just click the negative sign here or the minus sign, and that will get rid of the gradient from the palette.